I make a way for public funds amounting to 10 billion, 20 billion, and I'm allowed to keep that money for 10 years. Such money kept in the bank must have attracted interest.
The law has resulted in tax avoidance, tax evasion, profit shifting, base erosion, etc., etc.
We say illicit financial fraud. And from that trend, what we need to understand is the movement of dirty money. And by dirty money, what do I mean? Money or wealth made through corrupt practices.
About exposing those destinations as being receptive to such public funds, and then also holding them accountable with possible sanctions and penalties to be paid.
Minister of Aviation, who is currently standing trial alongside Mrs. Esther Nenadi Usman, also a former Minister of State for Finance, Danjuma Yusuf, and a company named John Trust Dimensions Nigeria Limited, before a federal high court in Lagos over an alleged 4.6 billion naira fraud filed on 179 billion naira fraud charges. Farouk Lawan, who is a former chairman of the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy, PICA, stated that 80% of the funds used for social investment were from Abacha's loot and 20% from World Bank. In line with the fight against corruption and illicit financial flows in Nigeria, HEDA also organized a training program tagged Experts Training and Advocacy on Tracing and Recovery of Illicit Funds and Assets in October 2019. The training program, which was held in Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt, was geared towards empowering participants with tools and access to information on corrupt individuals and their stolen assets, domicile, and
Come on, you use the specific word with documentation.
What about if I wanted to search a specific site?
The special advisor to the president on social investment, Mrs. Mariam Huwais, who was the keynote speaker, stated that 80% of the funds used for social investment were from Abacha's loot and 20% from World Bank. She also emphasized that various monitoring structures have been put in place to ensure that the money disbursed get to the poorest of the poor in the communities. The Executive Director, HEDA Resource Center, Mr. Olanrewaju Suraju, noted that the country has lost $600 billion in the last 59 years to money laundering and other forms of illicit funds transfer by Nigerians and some foreigners operating in Nigeria. He, however, urged citizens to join forces with the government to stem the tide of illicit accumulation of public assets.
There was the report, indicting even World Bank for very poor monitoring of the implementation of the fund, and there was no report to expose that. I personally and HEDA and our partners undertook a physical inspection and investigation of some of those, projects, and we were shocked to see that quite a number of the projects, even with full payment, were not implemented up to 30%. It was as shameful as some of the projects were cited in locations that are not found on Nigerian map. And that was really shocking for us and at the same time saddening. But it is, to a very large extent, some measure of progress so far as it is presently, now that some of the funds are not just left to the government agreement and implementation. So some civil society organizations were involved under the GFA arrangement, to monitor the process of agreement for repatriation and also compel some of the state or governments returning the fund to also accept and introduce as a condition for the implementation, the involvement of civil society to monitor the utilization. And that was why the conditional cash transfer of this current government started in 2016 was also part of the utilization of the Abacha Aloof that was reformed, and civil society organizations were involved with the Nigeria Social Investment projects to also monitor the process. It is very important at this stage, like you inquired about what needs to really be done. It's important to get a number of the international and other countries, the international bodies like the United Nations and the African Union, the OECD, to get some of the countries that have benefited from illicit financial flow to commence not just a process of returning some of these resources back to the countries of origin, is also for them to start also paying penalties for warehousing these noxious funds and assets within their system. I mean, they've benefited for, some of the Abacha funds that are just recovered stayed in some of these countries for 20 years and more. So you can imagine what would be the interest on those such funds being in ordinary commercial banks, not to talk of where it is actually being used in terms of trading and also other form of businesses. So it is quite important that Nigeria is in a good position to provide the leadership for other countries that are also affected by the same gravity or even lesser gravity of illicit financial flow.
Speaking further on the scourge of corruption, Mr. Nick Hildyard, a resource person from Corner House, stressed that Africans should unite and come together as one in order to set the tone for an agenda against corruption, adding that a commission should be set up to discourage Nigerian elites from engaging in illicit funds transfer to foreign banks.
Whatsoever for those who loot Nigeria or any other country. I have no goodwill whatsoever for those who facilitate the looting, and that includes huge numbers of elites in the West, our banking community, often complicit press, etc. in London and elsewhere.
In his address, Mr. Antonio Tricarico, also a resource person, encouraged the media to put more effort in their investigative reports and ensure that stolen assets are recovered and repatriated back to Nigeria to be used for infrastructural development and the alleviation of poverty.
And I come from Italy, a country where there are serious problems still with organized crime, and the real battle with organized crime began when authorities were able to confiscate assets, but most importantly to give them back for social purpose to the population. And this is what scared a lot of organized crime, because it's how we somehow reinstitute public interest in managing those assets is pretty key.
At the interactive session of the training program, Mr. Christian Erickson brainstormed with the participants on the use of social media as an investigative tool. The African director, MacArthur Foundation, Dr. Kole Shetima, in his speech said that the poor citizens in the country are the ones who suffer the consequences of corruption.
We know that corruption is probably the highest or the biggest tax on the poor. The poor people are the ones who are paying with their limbs, with their lives, and in terms of the quality of their education. In all aspects of their life, they are the biggest victims of corruption in the world. They are the ones whose resources are taken out of the country to some other parts of the world, and they suffer as a result of the consequences of corruption in our land.
Our topic for today is IFF. And does anyone know the meaning of the abbreviation? IFF in full is illicit financial flow. It's the portion of illicit finance that crosses borders or it's transferred out of a country. What did I say?
Illicit financial flow.
Good. In summary, IFF is the criminal money transfer that seeks to keep the action out of the books. So can you give me an example of IFFs? So let's have it. You are they.
When contractors give kickbacks to government representatives using offshore accounts.
Excellent example. Laraba, you have an example for us?
Yes, ma'am. When natural resources, especially oil and gas, bitumen and so on, are under invoice or over invoice.
That's correct. And if you see something, say something. Blow the whistle. ICPC, EFCC, CCB, FIRS, and the police are your partners on this one.
An estimated $10 to $18 billion is lost from Nigeria through illicit financial flow. It affects all of us. If you see something, say something.
Format of this training and how this training is useful and valuable to tracking illicit financial flow.
He asserts that the experts' training was necessary for the participants to enable them to trace illicit financial flows while also urging them to sustain the interest.
If you look at the area of the media and put the spotlight on investigative journalism, you realize that incrementally we've seen bold reports on eating corruption being revealed. So that's one major way for this sort of project. But the next step to that relates with enabling political actors to do the needful. In some situations, that hasn't been the case. So the pressure point now relates to how do we engage effectively political actors. And when I mean political actors, I mean those in power to deal with these things differently. And in the parliament legislature is one major angle. There is a need to create additional legislation that will enable and support the fight against corruption, and in wider case, deal with the question of IFF in Nigeria. So it's a mix of pressure points. For us, working with a number of civic actors, working with the media has yielded fruit. But that is just a part of it. The larger thing is about working with political actors to deal with these things differently. 2015, we did do this tripod collaboration with the Open Society Foundation, of which is CIWA is an entity. There was MacArthur Foundation, there was Ford Foundation. It was an opportunity, a political opportunity that we saw, or a moment that we saw for Nigeria to help the Nigerian government better put together its anti-corruption program. So we are constantly, as a grant-making organization, constantly looking for those opportunities to work directly with governments. And so this continues. That support was $5 million in total, and it was likely to help the Nigerian government deal with the effective implementation of the criminal justice regime, and also the parts of anti-corruption. This becomes one major way to do that. But in terms of continuity, the onus lies on the Nigerian government itself. When I say the Nigerian government, I mean whatever government comes in to see the need to continue this type of work. Because if you look at the volume of outflows out of Africa and out of Nigeria, for Nigeria, for instance, the figures go up to over $200 billion with regards to IFF. So if you are losing that level of money, it means that you must take this seriously, whatever political affiliations you have. And it requires the Nigerian government to ensure that those sources, the regimes and regulation around those areas are better done.
The representative of the civil society organization, Honorable Kayode Oladele, expressed delight that the civil society organization has played a major role in exposing corrupt individuals and has also ensured that the proceeds are recovered.
You can't track if you don't know. And the process of investigation involves not just the government, but also the CSOs. And I know that the civil society organizations of recent have also played a very important role in assisting victims of stolen properties, particularly in exposing the criminals and ensuring that the proceeds are recovered and returned to the recipient, to the
Some of the participants comment on what they have learned and also explain the positive impact of the training.
Our tradition at Connected Development, one of our projects is Follow the Money, and the second project is Conflict and Fragility in the extractive sector. So I think I've really learned a lot from the data mining, how to source the data for the information.
When we receive asset declaration from public officer, we don't just keep them. We have to do verification on these assets declared to verify whether what is declared is actually correct or not. We do both field and conference verification. But with this new training that we came to attend, honestly, we just bless God, because it's going to really make a positive impact in our activities.
We don't have money to have good hospitals, which also affects the woman. So going back, I'm going to be using the knowledge I have presently to improve and sensitize not just myself or my colleagues, but also the general public how to track financial misdeeds.
I think we have a better opportunity to make sure that all the things that we have been taught here, the tools that we have been given, the access, all the opportunities that we have here, we should be able to do more in terms of networking, in terms of working in groups, in terms of relating with other individuals and organizations.
Really needed most of the things discussed in the program. So I'm going to be applying most of them and see where I get with the knowledge.
I've learned how to navigate the internet to source for very critical information that will boost my job as an anti-corruption officer. So as I go back, definitely I'll put them to task, I'll put them to use.
You're welcome to my office. What can I do for you?
We are legal practitioners representing Strange Tobacco and Pharmaceutical Products International.
So, how can I help you?
We are looking to expand into your country, and we are sure you can help us.
Expanding into Nigeria is a win-win. I don't think you need any help, apart from those of the Corporate Affairs Commission and, of course, the tax people.
You see, some of the regulations around our product here in your territory may make it difficult for us to operate. And the committee you head is also making moves in that industry. So we want to support you personally so that our entry can have the industrial and legal framework support.
And we have a wide array of benefits that comes with helping us.
It is a gift worth millions of naira, and only 3 of us would ever know about it.
There are also real estate investment in Dubai just for you.
I see. You want to get your cut of the IFF out of Nigeria while using it as base to siphon others, eh? Count me out and leave immediately before I call security. If you see something, say something.
At the end of the program held in Kano and Port Harcourt, A facility tour of forfeited properties was embarked upon by the executive director of HEDA and his entourage.
Public officials. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Let me tell you, two of the people who brought the case against them are already dead.
Oh,
out of villagers.
Out of the suffering.
Out of the suffering, so are already dead.
Wow.
There are about 6 of them or 7 of them.
Okay, so now the government needs to sell this property and then give the money to those people.
With the collaborative effort of Kent Law School, HEDA carried out a detailed research project on comparative study of illicit financial flows as part of their agenda to stem the tide of corruption in Nigeria. The study focused on IFF in the United Kingdom, UK, and the United Arab Emirates, UAE. The research findings show that both the UK and UAE are international financial centers with global economic and political significance that maintain a strong financial connection to the economy and development of Nigeria. The study also indicated the observable patterns of illicit investment of Nigerian elites in the financial institutions of both countries, as well as the acquisition of properties and other corporate investments. The project also highlighted the difficulties surrounding the investigations of stolen wealth, running into billions of dollars from Nigeria and transferred to both the UK and the UAE. In most cases, asset recovery is nearly impossible. It is therefore noted that Nigeria would continue to struggle to achieve the sustainable development goals if the current levels of corruption and illicit financial flows between the countries continue to advance. It is imperative for Nigeria to win the fight against corruption systematically and also to ensure a long-term stability of the economy by utilizing emerging technologies and other web-based platforms to promote transparency and accountability in government financial deals, contract negotiations, and procurement. Both the public and private sectors of the economy must be scrutinized to achieve the goals of a corruption-free Nigeria.